So we're going over crashes and close calls to try to figure out what happened, how it happened, so we don't make the same mistakes ourselves. So if you're a new rider or experienced rider, we're trying to prevent that. This is why we rescue each other. I can't play this music, so we're going to do that. He's got full gear. Rescue, ensure your own safety, stop any major bleeds. Very important. All right, 128, 130 miles per hour. Okay. We're going to have speed wobbles. There it is. There it is. Sitting back, gripping the tank, hoping the bike stays upright, trying to balance it as best he possibly can. Once it slowed down, it looks like it says 70, maybe 80 miles per hour. So it went from 130 to 80. So it dropped 50 miles per hour and restabilized. Guys, this is why you should not be speeding as much like this. You hit a small little bump. You can't see much at night. You can't see if there's going to be like a messed up pothole on the highway. You can't see nothing. You hit it, boom, speed wobbles. Very lucky it caught the traction and it didn't just dump the bike. All right, here we go. Going too fast in the corner, found escape and dumped it. All right, we're coming here.
Another situation.
Highway.
Doing group ride in a small
group ride all over the place. It's, you know, you see, this is why staggered is so important, because you have somebody that wants to pass everybody. Now everyone wants to pass everybody, so that means we're all increasing our speeds. We're all over the place. We're not riding in a staggered formation, so we aren't having these issues. Of course, there's an intersection coming up. You saw the sign. We have a turn coming up, so hazardous situation. Corners, intersections. Oh. Found escape, find escape, find escape. There. Ooh. Hey. Whoa. That, I consider this a success when it comes to avoiding obstacles, but not a success when it comes to locating hazardous situations. So we have an intersection come up. There's signs, guys. Pay attention to the signs. So we're going to be going over the plan method here. So first, position for safety. Speeding is not putting yourself in a position for safety. You could do the speed limit. Just do the speed limit. It's very easy. It tells you what you need to do. Locating hazardous situations. We have an intersection coming up. Intersections and corners are hazardous situations. That's where most motorcycle riders crash. So that is what I pay attention to the most when I'm riding. Intersections and corners. And there's a lot of them, so I'm paying attention all the time. Kind of weird, huh? Assessing relevant threats. We're going to come up to that, okay? We're going to come up to that.
Cause of trouble with speed.
We have a corner right here. Is it a relevant threat? It can be if we're going too fast. Okay, so how do we navigate that? Roll off the throttle a little bit. Maybe apply a little bit of the brakes. Okay, 3 things we can do. Swerve, brake, accelerate. Those are 3 things we can do in emergencies.
In this situation,
or even on a bike.
Lucky to get away safely.
So right here, we see the intersection coming up. We see a car. Our escape path is, what do? Our buddy's not paying attention either. He swerves to the right. We're trying to follow him. We're kind of in a bad spot. What is the car going to do? Probably turning right because they're in the right lane. So we decided right here, we're navigating. I'm going down the whole thing here. Navigating an active threat. We are an active threat too because we're speeding, so we need to be shaving off some of that speed, but we have that car as an active threat. So he decided to swerve. Good. Typically, we see people honking the horn or doing rev bombs. Not a good idea. 77 miles per hour. Yeah, it's insane at this speed for this situation. So he decides to swerve. Good. Handled it, right? He's going to do fine. Okay, swerve. We are no longer, that car is no longer an active threat because we're not going into that path. But what's past the car? A new active threat. So the plan method keeps rotating. What's the next hazardous situation? Oh, crap. What's the next relevant threat? That grass and that wall or the fence. So we have to now navigate even more. Thankfully, the navigation is more left. So we're going to swerve left more. But we're kind of in a bad spot because our speed is making it harder for us to swerve. There's the impact. Thankfully, he didn't dump the bike there and hits this. So very lucky. Very, very lucky he didn't do much there. Could have messed him up bad. So now we're past this active threat of that fence. Now we have a new active threat. We have the tree. So he swerves right. And we have an escape of this dirt road. So he's very lucky that this is all set up in this way. Okay? It could be a lot worse where this was just a big wall and no road. So extremely lucky. I want to see if his buddy actually crashed. Let's see. Where's his buddy going? Yeah, his buddy's very lucky. Everyone's just very lucky in this situation. How do we get in this situation in the first place? going way too fast. Way too fast. Did not see the intersection. It's a red light. Very lucky no traffic was going. Didn't see the intersection. Why did we not see the intersection?
Everyone, today we start.
I don't understand how we did not see the intersection. You see how planning our ride is more important than the skills? The skills might work if we have a lucky situation. It won't work if we're unlucky. I'm not going to put my safety and my health in luck. Don't do this.
Whose main cause of trouble was clearly speed. In this situation, he was very lucky to get away safely.
Very lucky. You can't live on luck. Oh, new rider. New rider. You can see that. You can see that. And it sucks because you don't want a new rider learning how to ride without the skill set on the roads yet. Okay, and I keep bringing it up. I've watched tens and tens of thousands of crashes and close calls. Let's go over. I want to show you the very beginning again. So right here, our buddy up in front knows that we have a newer rider. It's just a left-handed turn at an intersection. Very easy, right? Very easy. But for a new rider, it's one of the harder skills to learn. And once that becomes easy, now we have a new harder skill to learn, and then a new one, a new one, a new one. That's how learning progression works. So when I say this is a new rider, it's because this is hard for a new rider. So he's looking back. New rider's putting her feet down. It's a very simple turn. We didn't make it. As soon as we see this part, we're like, ah, crap, panic, slam the front brake. This is a new rider trying to figure out how to ride, and they're doing it on the road when it probably a little bit more panic because now the cars are coming, so I got to make it quicker. All these random things. Guys, this is why I designed these books. I've watched tens of thousands of motorcycle crashes. I really want you guys to start off right. I really want you guys to understand everything and know what you have to do. That's why this book, I told myself I wasn't going to promote these, but like, guys, these solve so many problems. We can only watch so many crashes and close calls without actually understanding what we're trying to do here. So all the way to chapter, I mean, it's 9 chapters, get you from 0 to a licensed rider. But chapter 4, we're riding in our neighborhood on our street only to start. After we got some of the major stuff here, we're going to start paddle walking. That's what they're doing right here. We're paddle walking. It's not a good idea. But then we're going to get up and doing continuous riding with U-turns in the street. We're going to go ahead and do figure eights. And then we're finally going to start riding in a neighborhood and practicing in a neighborhood until this hard skill of riding in a neighborhood becomes easy. And then we go from the neighborhood to the parking lot. So we have, in order to get from the neighborhood to a parking lot, we have to ride on the road. But we made it to where we can make these turns easy because we're riding in a neighborhood first. And then we try on the new hard thing, but we have the skill set of turning already. We have the skill set of U-turns already. We have the skill set of turning onto a side street already. All that stuff becomes easy. So now the only thing we have to focus on when we're out in the road with traffic is traffic. And I teach you the plan method before we even get on the road. So that's the only thing we have to pay attention to because our skill of turning, acceleration, and braking is already easy. This is a step-by-step process. I don't want you guys learning how to ride and turn and brake and swerve in traffic. There's too much going on, and you're going to panic every single time. All right, here we go. Group ride. Oh! Once again, we're coming up to a stop.
That when riding a group,
Somebody panicked, slammed the brakes. It actually locked up the front tire, went up and over. Practice your slow speed maneuvers. All right, we're coming to a corner. This is going to be a hazardous situation because we don't know what's around this corner. What are we doing? Was this another layer down? Is this a layer down episode? So we're back to when I had just gotten back on my bike after not riding for 3 months. Practice your skills in a parking lot so you understand what to do. So you get rewarmed, rehearse your skills, refresh them. So what do you do right here? It's kind of a panic. So we're coming up to here. We're in the far left lane because we're going to use all of the road for the cornering. Stay in your lane. Okay, now we're in our lane. Very good. We're coming up to here, and we forgot how to turn. We went off road. Just Just chill, relax. But we panicked probably and had to go off-road. All right, so here we go. We're cruising. Nice little corner. What are we going to do here? Oh, why do we go wide? Why do we go wide?
Sorry.
Found the escape, though. Good slow speed maneuvers, practicing smart rider drills. Let's take a look at that real quick. So he went wide, right? I kind of pointed that out, right? So we're doing this. Our buddy straightened it up. Very good. That was good on him. He sees a left turner. We went wide on purpose. We went wide on purpose to go to our escape because we see somebody turning left. We decided to do something and swerve left. So actually not a bad idea. Our buddy up ahead slowed down and is trying to, swerve right. We see the vehicle stopped. So very good. Well, it stopped because it's freeze frame, but
Sorry.
everyone navigated. So there's a lot of skill involved in this. So very good. They weren't going fast. They're able to handle it. Now, if you were going a lot faster, it would have been a lot worse. So these guys did a great job. Great job. Probably practicing smart rider drills. All right. Nice little right turn. Are they going to come into our lane? He saw it. Good job. Moved out of the way. Moved back into your lane. Located the hazard. Assessed it. Navigated it immediately. That's one of those things when I want you guys practicing your turns in a neighborhood so you understand how to turn really well. And you practice your swerves in the neighborhood. You practice your braking. You practice your emergency acceleration in the neighborhood. So that when you get into traffic and somebody does something stupid, you already have those skills. And this is one of those areas that you got to focus on, is that it's a 2 right-handed turn. There's also 2 left-handed turn versions. And people are supposed to stay in their lane. That's what the slotted lines are for. They're supposed to stay. I never trust that. I never trust another car to stay in their lane. They suck at it. They don't want to do it. They want to get into the left lane after the intersection because they want to make a left-handed turn, so they cut across. Why did they not see us? It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. We're in their blind spot, whatever. Whenever I'm riding in traffic or driving in traffic, even if I'm in my sweet Chrysler Pacifica 2017 van, Touring model, by the way, I am staggered in these areas. I'm not side by side. I'll let them take off a little bit and then I go. And then I stay staggered because if they come into my lane, I can just apply a little bit of brakes and they get in my lane. Not a big deal. I don't want to get sideswiped. I don't want to deal with insurance. I don't want to deal with any of that stuff. So good thing for him, though, he was paying attention and saw it. So he moved out of the way and he handled it. But don't stay side by side. Ride staggered with other cars like you're in a group ride. Arizona drivers stress me out. Yeah, I know. Arizona drivers. What was that, everybody? What was the pattern?
You're all good. You're okay. Just be careful. Have a good night, okay? All right. Bye. Thank you.
Hey, he handled it well. What was that pattern? What's this pattern? This is one of the things I teach in the book, too. This is part of locating hazardous situations and assessing if there is a possible threat or a relevant threat, whatever you want to use. This right here is called an open lane pattern. There's an open lane in front of us. We're in that lane. There's a car right there that's going to turn into our lane because they don't want to be stuck behind a bunch of other cars. It's a natural human instinct. Same thing if you're in a grocery store. You see a shorter line, you go to the shorter line. Hopefully you don't run over grandma with your shopping cart. But the thing is, that's what people do. You go for the shortest, you go for the open, you go for that because that is going to make it to where you can continue traveling. So if we understand that and we see this pattern ahead of us, and I see everyone in the chat love that. If we see this pattern ahead of us, we have to assume somebody might do that. So if we're assuming somebody might do that, how do we put ourselves in a position for safety if somebody might do that? We move over closer to the left side of the lane, our lane. So instead of staying over here on the right side, which is close to this lane where everyone might want to come over, right? We move over preemptively to the left side. Now, if nobody comes over in our lane, it doesn't matter. We're still in our lane, right? It doesn't matter. We just handled it. We're ready for it just in case. So we move over. And so if somebody does come over into our lane and we're over on the left side, it's very simple applying the brakes or moving to the other lane, right? Because we have a space cushion. So preemptively put yourself in a position for safety when you see these patterns up ahead and you assess if they're going to do it. And if they do it, emergency swerve, emergency brake, or emergency acceleration, one of those things that you can do. Position for safety. Do this in your cars too. See how they switched over? You do that. Hopefully you're doing head checks and using your indicators,
You're okay, just
but
be careful.
other people will do
Have a
it
good night,
quickly
okay?
on you.
All right.
Wheelie time! Dump the bike on the highway, hopefully no traffic. Now everyone behind us has to slam the brakes so they don't hit us. This is why I say if you do want to practice your wheelies and you want to have fun doing it, I don't care if you do wheelies. I hope you guys have a great time doing wheelies. If you're gonna do wheelies, do it in an area where there's no traffic, because then you don't have to worry about all the other stuff. All right, having fun on the off-road. This is kind of part of the deal. Same thing. If you want to do some fun stuff off-road, maybe crash, wear some gear just in case. Oh no, he's leaking the oils. That's a bad place to have a bike that's out of commission. All right, here we go. I'm glad they blurred it out. We don't have to worry about that one too much. That was the side of the dog. Here we go.
Ignored poor visibility and decided to work.
Okay.
The worst
Craziness. This is like the area. Oh, this is the type of country where you're really learning on the fly. Right here, it's a red light. We're gonna go ahead and stop and look both ways and get impacted by the car that's not paying attention. So that sucks. Can't do much there. So as smart riders, we acquire and use personal protective equipment. This was one of my brother's very first car accidents. He's had a couple where he was actually the car driver hitting the car in front of him at a red light, turning right. And the whole thing was, and he explained it. And so we all learned from each other, right? He explained that why he rear-ended that vehicle is because when he's pulling up to the red light, he's looking left to see if there's any traffic coming so he can go through the red light. He was young. He was a teenager at the time. So he's looking left and he's still moving forward to now go where he wanted to go. But the car in front of him stopped because it was a red light. And so he was just keep going while looking left. So more than likely, that's what this car was doing, was looking left and kept going. Guys, we do that sometimes. We don't pay attention. So the whole point of this accident is instead of looking left and keep traveling, look forward, stop, look left, and then go when it's clear. There might be something in front of you. You got to look where you're going. If you're traveling forward, look forward. If you're trying to learn how to ride without a plan or a course or a class near you, my book, Riding Smart, takes you from zero to licensed rider and teaches you the plan method so you start seeing the danger early. Grab the book and start learning.